There's no getting around it. Sentinels have been absolutely awful in this year's VALORANT Champions Tour. Despite a lot of promise going into 2022, very little actually changed for Sentinels, and a lot of the same problems that saw them drop the spike at VCT Champions last year and take an early flight home courtesy of Team Liquid and Crew Esports have carried over into this season. So is there any hope for this once great squad? Can Sentinels pull themselves out the fire at the last and save their season? Or are they doomed to repeat the mistakes of VCT Champions past? Where has it all gone wrong for Shazam's motley crew of one-time superstars? Sentinels' lack of any kind of coherent strategy and over-reliance on individual brilliance and clutch plays was a criticism levelled at them a lot last year. And if anything, the problem has only got worse in 2022. A TenZ carry or moment of genius to clutch around from Shazam are all well and good when you're winning, but what happens when your carry accidentally drops you? Watching Sentinels this year has been like watching a team of the best pilots in the world standing by as their plane slowly but inevitably nosedives towards the ground. Each one just waiting for inspiration to come to them or for one of their teammates to step up and pull them out of the dive. And when that doesn't work, which, let's face it, has pretty much been the case this entire VCT season, it leaves Sentinels scrambling for some semblance of a game plan while the other team is already dropping the spike on sight. Take a look at the finalists of Masters Copenhagen and you'll see the difference. Both Paper X and FunPlus Phoenix play with a clear style and strategy in mind. They are single units pushing forward as one. Each player knows what their job is and how to perform it to maximum effect. They're not waiting for Xiao or Jing to make the winning move with an unbelievable solo clutch, though they're obviously more than capable of it. But for Sentinels, if TenZ doesn't carry, then Shazam must. And if he can't, then Kanpeki or Sick or one of their new signings will have to fill the void. No wonder they've descended into an ever-escalating series of lackluster and disappointing performances that saw them cling to 16th in the rankings and a spot at last chance qualifiers for Champions by the skin of their teeth. A record of 24 matches played, 12 matches lost, and not a single qualification for a Masters event to their name really speaks for itself. As a comparison, throughout the entirety of VCT 2021, Sentinels lost just 11 matches in total, despite playing at all 3 Masters events and Champions. All that said, there are plenty of other factors that have led to TenZ and Co's disappointing season so far. And while this might be slightly generous to Sentinels' performances, a huge reason they're where they are is down to some good old-fashioned bad luck. What, don't believe us? How many mirrors did Sentinels smash to pieces before their crunch match with Optic back in May, when TenZ was struck down by illness and Sick was forced to miss the match because of a family emergency, making an already unlikely escape from Challengers 2 to Masters practically impossible. You can point to TenZ's performance against Cloud9 as a barometer for his inconsistency this season, but he's carried his team plenty at times, even when it didn't quite go their way. Take a look at his 31 kill, 9 death game on Haven against version 1 for proof that TenZ has still very much got it. Every player goes through peaks and troughs in form, and the fact is, Sentinels just haven't really had a settled team for quite a while now. For a squad that was remarkable in its consistency for the most part of VCT 2021, this season, Sentinels have been anything but. A mixture of poor performances and more of that bad luck and rotten circumstance, rendering their team unable to gel and work together when times got hard. Zombs was dropped after Sentinels missed out on qualification for Masters for the first time ever, replaced by Kanpeki, who in turn has been dropped as well in light of their most recent acquisitions. Especially the benching of Sick was another case of bad luck at a bad time. He recently revealed that his break from competitive play was down to struggling with his mental health over the tumultuous last few months, a struggle that thankfully, according to them, Sick seems to be on the road to recovery from. But his time away meant Sentinels had to act, bringing in new players again in the form of Zelsis from version 1, and perhaps most excitingly, or controversially depending on which camp you're in, Shroud as their controller role main. But we'll get to him in a minute. The changes in personnel haven't exactly been conducive to building up team cohesion, and a lot of the squad upheaval can be put down to bad luck and rotten timing for the team. But remarkably, despite the season from hell, Sentinels are still in with a shout of making it to VCT Champions. A collapse of biblical proportions from Ghost Gaming in the Challengers playoffs meant Sentinels got the slice of luck they've been looking for. They've got one last shot at redemption, one chance to save their season from being a total write-off. The opportunity to snatch the final spot at VCT Champions when they play in the last chance qualifiers. So what makes us think they could actually pull off the mother of all clutch jobs and make it to the main event? Well, first, for all the talk around TenZ, Shazam and Dapper's form, the fact remains that these are all still exceptionally talented Valorant players, with more than enough ability to dominate a tournament. They just need to get their act together a bit, and new signing Shroud could be the key to everything. Despite frequently saying he'll never go pro in any game ever again, Shroud is back. And whatever you may think of his streaming shenanigans, he has the chance to prove that he's the real deal once again. We all know he's an outstanding Valorant player. His years of experience in professional CSGO means he has the gunplay skill to keep up with the best in the game. He'll be reprising his favoured controller role for Sentinels on most maps, likely continuing his long love affair with Viper, as long as it fits into the team comp Sentinels decide to play, of course. The pro turned streamer turned pro again is indisputably talented, with the ability to pull Sentinels out of the rut they've been in. The question is, can he carry his undeniable ability over to a new team and an incredibly high pressure situation with just a few weeks of practice with his new squad in the tank? The mood in the Sentinels camp in the wake of Shroud's arrival seems to be at a season high. Everyone has been saying how well scrims have been going and how excited they are to play together in an actual tournament. And this newfound positivity could be way more important than you might think. Sentinels have been stuck in a mire basically all season, a vicious cycle of bad luck, bad performances, leading to more bad luck and more bad performances. There's been a black cloud over their VCT matches all season, so to see the smiles back will be a massive boost for the team. All this isn't to say that Sentinels are a shoo-in for Champions. If this season has taught us anything, it's that Valorant is one of the most unpredictable esports on the planet right now, and Sentinels will have to overcome teams that have massively outperformed them so far. 4 wins in the last chance qualifiers will see them grasp the last spot at Champions by the very tips of their fingernails. Any loss at all means a lower bracket run that has so far looked beyond Sentinels in 2022. They face a tough first match against the Guard, who will be out to prove they weren't just a flash in the pan after their ultimately pretty disappointing finish at Masters Reykjavik. The Guard have already polished Sentinels off once during Challengers 1 in a clean sweep, and they're more than capable of doing it again. The Guard have had a mixed Challengers 2, but rebuilt some confidence with a run of decent wins and close run losses in the semis of the Nerd Street Summer Championships, so they're undoubtedly the favourites. But if Sentinels can beat the Guard, well, that sends a message, and suddenly Sentinels look a very different prospect. They will still have to negotiate a tough bracket, with the newly bought out Luminosity roster now turning out for Shopify Rebellion or Cloud9 to face if they beat the Guard, both teams they've lost to in 2022. The recent Cloud9 result has to be considered against the context of Six's absence and possibly TenZ's worst performance of the season, clocking a 58 ACS on Haven, but either of these sides will feel confident they can beat Sentinels even at their best. Ultimately though, the strength of the other teams at North America's last chance qualifiers could yet be Sentinels' saving grace. They've been awful this season and have warranted every criticism that has come their way, but as a result, there's kinda no pressure here. They're not the favourites anymore. Nobody really expects them to win, and that can have a massive difference on how they approach the tournament. New signings, a renewed sense of positivity, and the opportunity to take some time away from regular competitive play to plan and prepare for the matches to come means Sentinels are probably about as dangerous as they've been all year. Sentinels have just managed to keep the Vultures at bay so far, and their season, despite pretty much everything that could go wrong going wrong, is somehow still alive. If they can make it to the VCT's main event and rock up at Champions rejuvenated with newfound confidence, Sentinel's season could still be saved. Don't forget to drop this video a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and we'll see you at VCT Champions.